Sure, there are Dark Tower references and Easter eggs sprinkled throughout Fairy Tale, but just how connected is Fairy Tale to the Dark Tower universe? Shakespeare's King Lear is quoted briefly in Fairy Tale, mentioning Roland and the Dark Tower, but Robert Browning's narrative poem, Child Roland to the Dark Tower Came, is not. Robert Browning's poem was inspired by King Lear, and Stephen King's Gunslinger was inspired by Robert Browning, so this connection is probably a little bit of a stretch. There actually was a gunslinger named Charles in the Dark Tower universe. Charles, son of Charles, was the gunslinger who had to be Hax's hangman in the first book, The Gunslinger. Not to mention that Mr. Bowditch's revolver was a .45, the same caliber as Roland's guns. In claiming to have never shot a gun before coming to Empis, Charlie Reed used Christopher Polly's .22 caliber pistol to gun down Red Molly by shooting her teeth out as she ran towards him. Later in the book, Charlie uses Mr. Bowditch's .45 revolver to kill Hannah the Giant by shooting a scar on her forehead and putting 2 bullets in that exact spot. Hardly seems like an easy task for someone who's never used a firearm before. A thinny is a weak spot in reality where the fabric of the worlds has been worn thin. The thinny plays on a person's thoughts, telling them what they want to hear and promising a fine outcome, though death is ultimately more likely. Transportation into other universes is possible by simply walking through a thinny, but this is a rare outcome. The passageway under Mr. Bowditch's shed could have been a thinny, because characters talk about a feeling of lightheadedness or an out-of-body experience as they pass through into Empis. But more importantly, the city of Lilimar was said to be haunted, and you could hear voices. The city itself could have been a thinny. That might be why Eldon was able to summon Gog Magog, the Cthulhu monster, into Empis. Charlie Reed first sees the haunted city of Lilimar and describes it as an emerald palace like something out of The Wizard of Oz. And if we remember, after Roland's encounter with Blaine the Mono, he stumbles across an emerald city along the I-70 Thinny in Topeka. This is where Roland has his final run-in with the TikTok Man, and Randall Flagg once again escapes Arcatet. The Emerald Palace also appears in the western branch of the River Wye, in the Wolves of the Kaya. Charlie Reed believed that Christopher Polly was an incarnation of Rumpelstiltskin, which fits the narrative of the book Fairy Tale. However, in Empis, Charlie comes across someone named Peterkin, whom he believed bore a striking resemblance to Christopher Polly from his world. This makes it seem as though there are twinners, like in the book The Talisman. And if there are twinners like the Talisman, then maybe there is wizard glass like the Talisman as well. When Charlie is imprisoned in Deep Maylene, the leader of the Night Soldiers is interrogating him about a wallet they found in his possession, and particularly a $10 bill. In Empis, the words on the money changed into crazy runic symbols that Charlie couldn't make sense of. Maybe that wasn't a big deal, most of the English language was all mixed up in Empis, but when Father Callahan was on the run from vampires, traveling across America in between worlds, the main telling sign for him that he switched worlds was that the money in his pocket would change. Charlie uses this popular Dark Tower saying as a toast in Fairy Tale. When questioned about it, he simply replies, "My dad read it in a book." So the Dark Tower books exist in Charlie's universe, and we know that the Dark Tower books exist in the Keystone world, so we could draw the conclusion that Charlie Reed exists in the Keystone world, which is home of the Rose, and where time only flows in one direction. Towards the end of the book, Woody tells Charlie that there are other worlds than these. This is possibly the most iconic quote from the Dark Tower series, and my favorite Dark Tower Easter egg from Fairy Tale. Maybe it means the book is more connected to the Dark Tower than we think. Or maybe Stephen King was just giving himself a nod to his own magnum opus. I believe that Fairy Tale physically exists in the Dark Tower universe, but does it thematically fit with the other novels, or is it canon to the Dark Tower series and the connected books? Probably not. It's still a fantastic novel with a lot of great Dark Tower references in it, and I think fans of the Dark Tower will love this book, no matter what connection it has to the series.